you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast where we talk about Latino everything. Thank you very much. You already know the motto. Why? Because you are subscribed. If you are not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Support the community. Get these stories out there. These beautiful stories of amazing Latinos with a great representation of our community out to the world today. Make sure you subscribe. Today we have an amazing individual. I met him at one of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce events. He wasn't even a member at that time. Going forward, now today he is a member, but he's been doing his thing for some time. He is a founder and marketing strategist for Hispanos Marketing. He grew up in Pleasant Grove, and can you believe it or not, he lived out of his car for almost a year. That's right. And now he owns his own company. So far, his company, Hispanos Marketing, has helped over 1,000 Latino-owned businesses with design, strategy, consulting, and online resources. El señor, or the young gentleman, Christian Rocha, a.k.a. Chris Rocha en la casa. Hola.
Hi, how's it going? Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I don't know which one to look at, but
you can look at me, but if you want to, that camera will be yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's we met at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
Kind of we chatted up a bit, and we were like, hey, we vibed right away. And but yeah, thank you for the invite, man. It's really an honor to be here, man.
He was actually inviting himself quite
a bit.
I know. I appreciate that so much. The eagerness, the hunger of you wanting to be out there, having your message across because you're so passionate about your company. It got me excited to have you here because you were really into it, and I appreciate it. Not at all, because you get too occupied sometimes. You're doing things and that, and then sometimes you might miss an opportunity. If you see it, you want to be it. You got to take the initiative to make it happen, right? So I appreciate it so much.
Oh yeah,
nothing like that. I really do appreciate it.
No, for sure. And I think what I saw and what interested me the most about what you do and what you're doing is just that the consistency with all aspects of what you're doing, right? The consistency and the posting. I see you always come up on my social media on the reels and just the quality of what you got going on here. It's those are the type of people that I think I like surrounding myself with and working with. And when I saw your stuff and I met you, I was like, it's the go-to guy. And I invited myself a couple times. I was like, can we please make a podcast?
We'll go make it happen.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and continue with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. Now is the time to subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. You're letting us down when you don't do it. I'm not going to make you feel bad. I'm trying to make you feel bad. But you already know it helps us. It's for free. Go ahead.
Yeah.
¿Estás listo?
Subscribe. Ready.
¿Estás listo?
Ready.
Tacos o tortas?
So, I saw a couple of the podcasts. I went back and I did some research and I noticed that everybody says tacos. Yeah. They don't show love to the tortas. Yeah. I'm going to show some love today and say tortas.
Tortas, it is. What kind of torta?
Anything that has fajita, aguacate, queso, crema, you can't go wrong with crema and jalapeno. That's just me.
That's just the right combo for you?
Yeah.
Nice. Corn tortilla, flour tortilla?
We'll take some harina. I like corn, but some harina. A veces estoy a dieta, so sometimes, I gotta go harina.
All right. Gorditas or pupusas?
Latino in me, Mexican, gorditas. We're gonna do some gorditas.
Gorditas. Have you ever had pupusas? Have you had?
Yeah. There's this. Yeah. I love pupusas. I love baleadas. I don't know. Baleadas are not Salvadorian, right? They might be.
It's not clicking on me right now.
But baleadas and pupusas are foods that are not traditionally Mexican that I love. Yeah. Especially because it has sour cream and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. I have to look it up. Baleadas. I know I heard it before. I just can't. It's not ringing into my.
It's kind of like a tortilla de harina con crema, queso, y frijolito. It's like really, really simple, but it hits the spot every time. Yeah.
Okay. Mexican coca or jarritos?
Let's do some jarritos.
Jarritos? ¿Qué sabor? What flavor?
Naranja.
Yeah. Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
I'd go with the horchata. For sure. Yeah.
What is the best horchata you had so far? From where? What place did you
So I don't know a lot of places out. So I moved a little bit away from Pleasant Grove. Originally, I'm from Pleasant Grove, as you mentioned. That's my hood, my barrio. So there's a lot of small little spots that, are like kind of like in the hood, So usually anything in Pleasant Grove is a go-to place for tacos, agua de horchata.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Nice. Make sure you stop by Pleasant Grove.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove.
We do have some.
Yeah, during the daytime.
Makes you nervous sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you even like spice?
Yeah, I love spicy food. I grew up with my dad cooking the most amazing hot sauce, the habanero. Nice. Habanero sauce. So anything spicy, man, go to. Yeah.
So it's like serrano, jalapeno, and then habanero.
We're going to the top, straight top. Yeah, habanero.
Man. Menudo or pozole?
Do some pozolito. Pozolito's always good.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes whenever you're not feeling too hungry, you know.
pozole, they got the red one, they have the green one, or sometimes the white one. Which one do you prefer?
Green one. We could do green.
Yeah.
We could do a little bit of everything. When it comes to Mexican food, man, anything, I'll eat it all.
I like pozole with some tostadas or some flautas acompañadas.
Y de tomar.
Y un jarrito de tamarindo.
No he comido, Ahorita nos vamos a aventar
unos tacos. Okay, Valentina, Tapatio, or Cholula hot sauce.
So those are not spicy to me.
At all.
At all. So, but if I were to choose Valentina's to go to, you put that on those nachos, chips. But I'd go straight habanero sauce, man.
So do you get the yucateco? You like that one?
Yeah.
That's
You
to go.
The one
like that one.
Te hace llorar, bro. That you're sweating and burning calories. That's my hot sauce. It
tastes good still.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good pain.
Cumbia or salsa dancing?
I'll be honest. I'm not a dancer. I can't dance
at all.
I have 2 left feet.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you discover that?
When I tried to. I tried to practice on my own. You know. Have you ever try to impress someone on a date and you kind of practice and rehearse before?
Yeah.
That was me. I was like, what if for whatever reason she wants to dance, and then I put some music on. I was like, I'm bad at this. I'm bad at this. So I was like, let's just not do that on the first date. Let's just go get some coffee or something. But but I like cumbia. My family's from Monterrey. I have from family Monterrey, Nuevo León y Tampico, Tamaulipas.
Nice.
So Monterrey se escucha mucho la cumbia. Mucha cumbia.
Mucha cumbia de todo tipo de
Yeah.
Okay. A conspiracy theory that you heard one time. When you heard, you're like, that has to be true.
So the one thing about me, man, I could go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, man. I live for conspiracy theories. I watched this YouTube channel called The Y Files, and they just go down and they kind of talk about everything from the moon landing was fake to reptilians, living in the center of the earth, from the moon being hollow. But I think the one that I sometimes think about and doesn't let me sleep is the moon landing was fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was telling somebody there's a new movie coming out about the moon landing and everything. Yeah. The hollow moon thing.
That's a good one too.
I've seen a bunch of videos.
And there's actually some docs out there that say how the government actually they purposely launched the satellite to crash into the moon.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of surprised that they heard like a really, really long ringing.
It rang for a long time.
Yeah.
Like
you know about
hollow.
this, so you go all in too, huh?
I saw the same one.
What about you? What's your conspiracy theory? The one that you're just like, this has to be true.
You know what? I just recently went to the Sphere. I was sharing this with the last gentleman here, the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah.
And you always hear about the Matrix, and this is all maybe this is not real, whatever. It's a bunch of glitches, whatever. When I was there,
do you believe that?
Well, when I was there, and the way that the presentation is, it's like a movie, but it's a presentation. The whole thing, you're just like literally. It feels like you're in the middle, and everything's playing out. Like it feels like a freaking Matrix. Like this is not real.
It makes you wonder, right? Like if we get too advanced, or if we ever get so advanced to the point where we could recreate what we're living now, then it makes you wonder, well, did somebody recreate our reality?
Well, this one ties to, because even the smells and the feeling of it, right? The wind, the temperature.
So you experienced that inside of the...
Yes.
I've never been there.
You feel all that. So with that theory, there's other stories I heard before of other advanced advanced civilizations being here even before us, or being here prior to us. So that ties to that one. And then maybe even a higher intelligence, even creating something that could be something like this.
Yeah. I've seen, to me, it becomes one of those things where I just kind of, once you start going down the rabbit hole, you're just like, okay, there's more. One of the things that really catches my attention with what you're just saying about the advanced civilization is a lot of these ancient writings with like even the Aztecs, right? Yeah. They kind of documented certain stories about like certain beings from like
people from the stars and a great flood, and all of them. Every single civilization pretty much has the same story about the same thing. How crazy is it that right now we can't easily share it and other stuff, and other people around the world, they can see it, right?
Yeah.
But how crazy is it that the same cataclysm, the same people from the sky, they're all being documented in like tablets and stuff like that,
and it's from places like far across from each other that could have not had like immediate contact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna go down the
gotta believe. When you hear the word Latino, Latina, Latinx, what immediately comes to mind to you?
I think Latino is a word that I think growing up, more than anything, I think here in the U.S., the most common thing even in schools is Hispanic, right? That's kind of the term that
Mm-hmm.
I think we even have to fill that out when we like are going to
The
test or something,
paperwork, I think
Hispanic,
so.
Latino.
I think so too.
But for me, I mean, I just kind of it just reminds me of like really everything that we go through as Latinos,
Right.
and just even the sacrifice as well that our parents have gone through. So I think the word Latino it just kind of brings a lot of pride of like, you know, I'm a Mexican, you know, proud Mexican, and it just reminds me of like the shared experiences that we all have, I think.
Awesome. Do you consider yourself Latino? Do you prefer Hispanic, Mexican?
Mexican, Mexican.
The rapper face.
I know.
Mexican.
Hey, we had to touch that, man. The rapper version of you that I saw on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go check him out. He's on YouTube. um, I'd say Mexican. I think the word Mexican or just telling people I'm Mexican. It's like a sense of pride that you're just like, you know. And I think as Mexicans we're like proud of it, you know, because we understand what comes with it, the sacrifice that our parents go through. So I think for me it's just like I'm Mexican. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I've had people that get mad at me when I say that I'm Mexican, which is weird. Some people are like, no, you're not Mexican, you're American, you're born here. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, you know, my parents are Mexican, like Mexican American, I guess.
Go tell other people that he see you and all they see is somebody that's from Mexico, even though
exactly,
you were born
right? It's like, well, to everybody else, I look brown, bro. I mean, you know, but yeah, I've ran across people like that they're like, no, tú di que tú eres americano. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, and Chicano, does that ever resonate with you at all?
No,
not even.
No. I think just because I'm fluent in Spanish. I'm fluent in Spanish, and I grew up speaking it. I'm not an Osabo kid. No offense, right? You know, I love my Osabo people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think for me it was important to speak it just because my dad didn't really speak English very well, and then my mom understood English, but she spoke to us in Spanish. So nos inculcaron desde chiquitos, like, hey, speak Spanish. Aquí en la casa se habla español. You know, so for me that resonates a lot.
Imagínate qué valioso es eso ahora en día, que puedes hacer los dos mientras, like, as you're moving through your professional career or your business in general, how you are able to help two people instead of just helping one because you don't know the language or
it helps a
you're
lot.
lacking. Yeah,
it helps a lot, and I think it more than just giving me the right tools. I think it when you speak to someone in Spanish, they just kind of see you as somebody that understands them, you know, and because it's not the same. And I've seen a lot of companies sometimes whenever they're helping the Hispanic community, they just put somebody that speaks English and then they just put a translator, you know, and it's not the same thing when you have someone who's actually talking your language and saying, oh, yeah, yo te puedo ayudar, you know.
There's an unspoken connection that happens whenever even if it's another Latino that speaks Spanish, if you're in a foreign place, all of a sudden, like, hey, ¿qué pasó? ¿Cómo
estás, bro?
Like, it's like a magical moment at times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, he understands me. He gets it.
Yeah.
You know, our culture might be all the way not 100%, but it's pretty freaking close.
Yeah.
His upbringing is very similar to mine.
Yeah, and I think that's what keeps me continuing to try to practice as much as I can. A veces se me olvidan las palabras. Sometimes my pronunciation is not good. It's just the American side of me, you know, sometimes. But
at Google,
I know, like, ¿cómo se dice esto? I'm turning into an Osabo. No.
You know, have you ever run into where you're looking at a word up and all of a sudden that doesn't sound like...
Just like, no.
That's
a Google Translate doesn't
it.
work. It doesn't understand the Spanish, you know, that we speak.
¿Sabes qué usado? You know what I use? ChatGPT, but instructed to say in Mexican.
Bro.
I swear. I do.
Too.
Because it's different.
Yeah.
The translation of the word, it gives you like what you're looking for instead of just to ask it to translate this word.
Or sometimes I put speak to me as if you're speaking to a Mexican.
Yeah.
And then it talks to you in more understandable Spanish.
Terms.
Yeah. Because if not, it gives you that Spain Spanish.
Yeah. And then you're talking to somebody. ¿Qué dijo esto?
Yeah.
Oiga, señor, no lo entiendo.
Eres de España.
Yo sé que está hablando español, pero no es español.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to your story.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your family's from Monterrey.
Yeah.
Both your mom and your dad.
My dad is from Monterrey, Nuevo León, and my mom is from Tampico, Tamaulipas.
¿Y se conocieron aquí en Dallas o en México?
Here. Yeah. So my mom, when she was younger, she was brought over here, and then my father ended up coming over here también, and then they ended up meeting here.
Cool. Do you know a little bit of the story of their travels from Mexico to here? Why did they come? Why did they
mainly from my dad. My dad, because the way that I think my dad experienced it was a little bit different than my mom.
Right.
But my dad's stories were always more present, just because I would ask him questions like, "Hey man, how was it?" You know, and he would tell me pretty much some of the crazy stories that he would have, me platicaba a veces que se venía para acá, por el río, nadando a veces en el desierto,
So he's just by himself? O
well,
con
with
alguien?
other people, con el coyote y todos, with everybody.
But they'll still make it like either because there's different ways to get here, people. I don't know if y'all know this. All this wall talk is retarded
Yeah.
because you can either go to the desert or
Yeah.
go to the river.
Yeah. And I think back then I want to say it was a little bit easier, but I think there was maybe different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he would talk to me and he would tell me how, like, a veces también los coyotes would kind of do them wrong.
Yeah.
Los hacían dar vueltas nada más to help them kill time. Y los trataban de abandonar and stuff and things like that. And he'd tell me how sometimes even in the wintertime, they'd sleep out in the desert and they'd kind of sleep in people's like backyards and stuff. So yeah, I think that's why it's so present, because I kind of remember those stories that he would tell me.
Yeah. Why did you want to ask them those stories? Some kids, might want to know.
Yeah.
Their parents maybe not be willing to share.
Yeah.
It might be kind of hard to even ask those questions.
Yeah.
What made you want to drive to ask them those questions?
Well, I think for me it's because, growing up, I've always been close to both my parents, but I was always closer to my dad. So growing up, I kind of was iba con él. My dad was a jeweler his entire life.
Oh, wow.
So hacía reparación de joyería. The
Chido.
best jeweler, I'd say, ever.
I believe you.
Because he just kind of learned the craft, and he did that most of my life. So whenever we were younger, la acompañaba like to the flea market, y él se ponía like with his little table and with his little rótulo that said, reparación de joyería. And as a kid, man, as like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, I would be there right next to him, and he would fix the jewelry, clean it, y luego yo con un cepito, bro, like lo tallaba, and me daban propina and stuff.
Really?
So
that's cool.
Yeah, so growing up, like I experienced that aspect of our life, especially with my dad. So it kind of was more natural for me to kind of wonder and be curious, like, hey, well, how did all this get started? Like, ¿cómo tuvo tu historia? But even up to when I grew up, he kind of did that most of my life. So I think that's where the interest came, wanting to figure out, hey, where did it all get started?
Yeah. Was it his own company or did he work for a company?
So he did it for himself. My dad was always he's an entrepreneur. Was always an entrepreneur. He was always kind of like go to and motivated to to be out there and just grind it. I think that's where I get a lot of those qualities.
And your mom pretty much brought over as a young lady, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Anything interesting about hers?
Yeah. So my mom had an interesting life también, because even here she was brought up when she was younger. So I think it's also even difficult if you think about it. Like when you're brought over here, you kind of have to adapt yourself to the lifestyle here. So I think for her that was one of the biggest challenges, trying to adapt from the lifestyle that you had and just kind of being, brought up in that part of Mexico and then adapting yourself here. But I think luckily for her, she was able to pick up on English a lot faster. So my mom, she speaks it, but she prefers not to. I think she's like the Mexican here.
Like, le da pena también, maybe just...
No, I think she just sometimes prefers Spanish, I think. She's really good at speaking English. Sometimes it's like, hey, mom,
Get down, mama.
Yeah. It's like, hey, the hood slang. What's going on? Yeah. No, but yeah, her life was also interesting too. And I think from her, what I kind of picked up on her side of the story, or her life growing up, was kind of more of that willingness to always keep pushing forward. That I think most Latina mothers, I think we've all seen, hard workers.
Yeah.
Hardest workers out there.
Yeah.
They're just grinding it out, whether it is one job, 2 jobs at once. So I think seeing it from both sides of my family, my mom and my dad, I think it's what really kind of helped me kind of try to be somewhat of a hard worker as they've been. I can't compare to them. I think it's different when you're born here. It's not the same drive and motivation.
Yeah.
But I try as much as I can to just kind of live up to that.
That's awesome. So anything significant as you were growing up, as far as, of course, they molding you pretty much without realizing, you as a kid seeing the way they're moving and see how hard they work. Was there anything significant as far as going to school? Anything that stands out to you as far as maybe you want to maybe be an entrepreneur, maybe have your own thing at one time or another?
Yeah. I think that the entire journey of, like I said, experience that with my dad, just kind of being there, kind of made me. My dad was always the type to tell me, like, hey, one, my dad always wanted me to continue his business, his craft of jewelry,
Okay.
But I think as a kid, I think sometimes we're naive and we don't see the value and importance of some of those skills that our parents have.
Right.
And I think that's what the case for me. I was like, nah, I don't want to be a joyero, I want to do something else, But I think what made me want to figure something out was that idea of, like, I grew up with my dad always telling me like, para todo hay solución. We can figure this out. We can always do it. And
Yeah.
seeing that, like I said, from my mom and my dad, so I think for me, my entire life was kind of more of like, hey, if there isn't a way, let's make one.
Mhm.
So whenever I started learning or trying to explore the entrepreneur life, which is a difficult one, I see a lot of people sometimes they idolize the idea of entrepreneurship because they're like, oh, it's like financial freedom, and it's like sometimes you end up working more than the average person. Like people try to sell you on this, like, oh, you quit your 9 to 5 and become an entrepreneur. Yeah, you're quitting your 9 to 5 to work like a 12 to 12. Because you're working like
12 to 12.
yeah, you're working crazy hours. So I think for me when I started going through that journey of trying to figure it out, it was always like, well, I saw my dad doing it and I saw my mom also doing it. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm cut out for this, and I decided to do it.
Yeah. So, did they ever push you trying to go to school? Because eventually you made your way to school, to college, to try to explore something.
Yeah.
What did they tell you in like as far as going to college? Go to college.
Yeah. So my family dynamic was a little bit different than
Mhm.
most. I think. Well, I mean, I guess it depends what most is, right? But for me, my parents split up at a young age. So my
Mhm.
parents split up when I was like around 11. So from there, I ended up kind of going to live with my dad, and my dad was kind of trying to help us with college and stuff, and the motivation, or I guess the encouragement, was always there, but the decision was mine at the end of the day, and so what I ended up doing is I ended up just figuring out like what could pay me enough to be able to put myself through college. My dad encouraged me as much as he could and helped me as much as he could.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, I kind of had to see how I was going to pay for it.
And what was the at that time the interest of studying? What did you want to study at that time? Was it marketing a
Nah,
thing
it was
that you wanted
psychology.
to?
I wanted
Psychology.
to be a counselor.
Why did you want to be a counselor? Where did it was it the money
Well,
thing? Was it?
no, I think I wanted to do psychology because
Mhm.
I like the idea of being able to help people, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of us sometimes we struggle with finding a sense of purpose, and for me it was like, well, I kind of have this life experience where my parents split up at a young age. I kind of had the ups and downs of life,
Right.
emotionally, and I just there was kind of that journey that I just didn't know why a lot of things happened in my life. So I was like, maybe I can be the voice of reason for some people. Maybe
Mhm.
for some people, I can be that person that could help guide them through those situations that I
Right.
experienced. So for me, the idea of being a psychologist was being somebody else's light at the end of the tunnel. But then reality hit me, and I was like, dude, I have my own problems. I don't think I don't think I'll be cut out to help people with their problems. But I think it almost I almost pivoted and I said, well, maybe I won't be able to help people as a psychologist,
Mhm.
but maybe I can help people in their entrepreneurship journey.
Okay.
Maybe some type of consulting or some type of
Right.
strategy, even if it's for free. I just want to help people in some way or form. So that's kind of why I went from okay psychology to just all right, let's just figure this out in marketing.
As you're in school and you're figuring all this out, because it takes a big person to realize, like, I have my own situations that I have to address. Maybe in order to help other people, I have to get this sorted out. So
Yeah.
it's best for me to go a different approach. Was it the being in school in general and just learning that it's difficult? Maybe
Yeah.
that's not going to be the road for you.
I think the work life balance, or even I guess school life balance, the
Yeah.
balance of juggling like your actual reality, which is like, yo, we got all this stuff going on sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the idea of like wanting to do more for other people. I
Right.
think at some point you kind of come to the realization, well, what am I doing for me? And I kind of realized that, well, I could be more helpful to people if I really figured myself out and really kind of went through the journey of putting myself in a better position where I could help people,
Mm-hmm.
because I think sometimes I've fallen into that where like you're helping, giving, 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 but sometimes you don't even, it comes to the point that you don't have much to give at some point because you're just kind of giving your all. So for me, it was like, well, if I want to help people, I need to be in a better position,
Right.
whether it's helping people financially, whether it's helping my family or helping people in general with something, I need to be a little bit better off. So for me, it was like, okay, maybe school is kind of draining a little bit of my resources, is draining a little bit of my time. And I continued, I went through financial aid help, I
Yeah.
went
Of
through
course.
financial aid. It helped me. I did, I went to Eastfield, did 2 years of an associate's there. Got some certifications in substance abuse and mental health through Eastfield. And then from there, I went to University of Texas, Dallas, and I did bachelor's in psychology split with sociology.
So you did get
So
your degree
yeah, so
after
I
all.
finished. I finished.
Awesome.
All that to say, I finished, but I didn't really do much with the degree. It was more of like a sense of accomplishment because I'm just like, well, I started it, and I think my parents would be proud if I finished. So
How does it feel whenever you get to, even though it's a struggle, even though you realizing all these things that maybe you're not going to be able to exercise what you're studying because of all the things that are starting coming up.
Yeah.
You start thinking about. How does it feel at the end whenever you get to graduate?
Well, not honestly, I think it should have felt greater, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more of like I kind of had already made the decision of like maybe I just don't want to do psychology, so I don't have to finish it. But I was definitely happy that I finished because it's like weight off your shoulder. It's just like all right, we're
Absolutely.
done. But then from there it was like figuring out okay, what's the next step for me?
Yeah.
Do I just get a job in this? I mean, and when you think about it, psychology, sociology, you can't really get a like an actual corporate job with it. I mean,
Mhm.
I guess you could, but it's not something like very interesting to me as far as the choices that were there. So I just kind of from there I had to figure out what was next.
Yeah.
So I went
Not,
into YouTube and I
not even
googled some stuff.
schooling, or maybe be a counselor in school or
Yeah,
elementary schools. It
yeah.
just wasn't something that you wanted to do at the
It's
time.
not something that interested me at that point
At
anymore
that.
because I think I had gone through the point where I just felt like you know what I want to do more. And I think growing up that was always my mindset of like maybe I'm meant for something. I was always like fascinated by the comic books.
Ah.
The Flash was my
Oh
superhero,
yeah.
Spider-Man, Superman. And I think that fascination came from like almost like a place within myself where I kind of wanted to feel like a superhero and do something great for people.
Right. Right.
So I think for me, when I kind of realized that, man, maybe I won't be able to do it so much in
Mm-hmm.
psychology, let's just try something else. So that's why I didn't pursue it. And I just figured
That's
something else
awesome.
out. Yeah.
How did your parents feel whenever you get to see their son graduate? I don't know if you're the first one or not,
Yeah.
but
Well, I didn't let them know.
really,
Yeah.
why is
Yeah.
that?
So whenever my parents split up at a young age, I kind of went through this phase as a teen where I just kind of didn't know what where to place the blame, and I had a lot of internal battles as a kid growing up where it
Gotcha.
was just like maybe a sense of frustration because of how just life plays out with your parents. I mean, who doesn't as a kid? Who doesn't want
Right.
to have both of their parents go to their what do they call it
Graduation.
the
Walk.
graduation
Yeah.
or
Ceremony.
teacher parent
Yeah.
conference?
Of course. Or any of those
Every
events.
kid,
Yeah. Yeah.
wants that. So I think for me, it was kind of almost like that battle of frustration where it's like, because I didn't get it, it was kind of almost like, well, I was just frustrated and I wasn't able to nurture a good relationship with them growing up, which I think is one of the biggest mistakes that I think any kid could make. And I think sometimes, like I said, we're naive and we're just kind of almost selfish as kids. So for me, I didn't really have that relationship growing up with them.
Right.
And then you fast forward to when I graduated high school, I ended up moving out at 18. So from 18 to, I won't say my age now, but from but from 18 to like whenever I put myself through college and everything, it was kind of just me figuring life out, trying to survive.
Mm.
And I also made the same mistake of not really nurturing that relationship with my parents. So whenever I got to the point where I was done with college, I was like, well, I'm not really close to them anyways. And it wasn't, nobody knew really. I think maybe just now, people are finding out that I actually put myself through college and then I graduated. It's just kind of more of like, I was just kind of on my own since 18,
Awesome. Congratulations,
I
bro.
appreciate it.
It's,
Yeah.
it's amazing that I get it, right? Of the ways, the things that happen. Sometimes it's not necessary because you've done it all on your own. Why does anybody need
Yeah.
to know at the end of the day? But
Yeah.
it's awesome that you're able to do
But
it.
they're proud now. I think
That's
as far as like where I'm at and where I've kind of been able to overcome some challenges when I do talk, well, when I've had these conversations with them about
Yeah.
like some of the things that I have, like the plans and the goals, like they're always excited about it.
That's awesome.
They've always been excited about
Okay,
it.
so at one time things got really difficult for you mentally. Different things, challenges were happening to the point where you ended up even homeless.
That was a tough one, man.
You almost a year. What happened exactly that you were not able to maintain a place to stay? Like,
Yeah. I was broke, man.
you was just
Yeah.
plain broke.
I think
Even though you were working, not working.
yeah,
or-
so it was kind of almost a transition in my life where I was kind of it's sometimes life hits you from every angle. You're just like, what am I doing wrong? For me, it was kind of
yeah.
it was one of those instances where I was in a bad relationship, and that was going downhill. And then from there, I kind of had some issues with my father at the time was experiencing some health issues, and then I had some family as well problems that were arising, and then from there I just had unstable employment, and I kind of everything got together to the point where I just couldn't really even concentrate at the job that I was at, and I was just kind of going through this like dark moment. I was kind of
Mhm.
kind of sad all the time and stuff, and it got to the point where I just ended up losing my job, and it was right around the time where my lease needed to renew for my apartment. So I remember whenever all that happened, I was like, oye, ¿cómo lo vas a hacer, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need to get
Yeah.
stuff done. And I always knew that, okay, the worst that could happen is I I go homeless and I live out of my car for a little bit. You know, it's like
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly what happened. But it's like I guess I always had the mindset of like, all right, I guess it's not that bad. You know, who hasn't lived in their car before? But I did. Oh wow,
Maybe like a day.
Lucky
You're
you.
sleeping on my car.
You slept? Yeah, sometimes,
that's
right?
it.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, I did almost for a year, man. It was
crazy.
tough. But yeah, but it kind of was almost one of those things where it just life hit me from every angle, man.
Of course.
Financially, emotionally, family wise, and I think también because I moved out at 18 at such a young age, it kind of almost was an ego thing to reach out for help. And it was kind of almost like I didn't want to tell no one. I didn't want to tell nobody I was struggling. It was embarrassing, bro. Like imagine that, like, you know, for you to kind of go from the point where you're kind of doing good and then you're just like, you're just dead broke, you know? So for me, it was kind of almost like a lot of things. And yeah, man, I ended up just kind of saying, well, you know what, man, I can't afford this apartment no more. You know, I'm not going to renew my lease. So I ended up not renewing my lease. And at the time I had a little, a Chevy Malibu that I got at a CarMax.
Yeah.
Which broke down eventually. Yeah, and I was just, I'll just stay living out of my car. Y se le hice, bro. I was there. I spent summers, winters, and pretty much I had a gym membership like at Planet Fitness for like $10. Iba, me bañaba ahí, and then I'd pretty much just sleep in my car. I'd sleep right next to 24 Hour Fitness, because what's interesting is that you don't realize how many people actually live in their car until you're living in your car.
Really?
Yeah. And it wasn't until I started trying to find a place to stay at night where I was like, oh, that guy's sleeping in his car too. Let me stay right here and park next to him. So I'd go like to like Walmart parking lots. I'd go through like 24 Hour Fitness or Fitness Connections and things like that. And yeah, I kind of started being more self-aware of that. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not alone, you know? There's a homeless guy next to me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that happened. So
yeah,
pretty much it feels like rock bottom. Everything's against you and everything. What makes you want to keep pushing? Of course, I know, yes, most likely our ego gets on the way of like, hey, you've been doing it by yourself all this time. All of a sudden, you're going to reach out for help. You figure a way to do it, right? But still, right? Seemed like you might have been going through some depression and stuff. How do you push through it?
I think there was moments where I'll be honest, man, and it's the thing that I think maybe a lot of us men don't really admit to sometimes. Right. And it's kind of one of those moments where I just needed to actually break down and let the emotions out, you know? And I think when I would have those moments, like living out of my car, man, I remember just kind of like at nights, bro, and I'd just be like crying. I'd just be like, man, like, why is this happening to me, you know? And knowing that there's always a solution is what kept me trying to figure it out. But I think mostly was I just have conversations with God, man. And I've never really been like a religious person, but I've always believed in a higher power. And growing up, I was raised to be a specific religion, but then I got introduced to Christianity, and that's kind of the avenue that I took my faith, you know, because that was what has been truth for me. And at the time, I just remember remembering like the times that I would go to church and I'd pray, and I was like, well, maybe if you're listening, you know, let me just have this conversation with you, God. And and I would, man, I'd have like the most honest conversations, and I think that venting and just wanting to believe that there was somebody listening and wanting to believe that my story at maybe one day could help one person go through the situations is what kind of helped me just kind of keep pushing forward, you know. And I think also having faith in general, I think it's a good thing, you know. And I think it's one of those things where it's like you needed to get through some of the hardest moments in your life, and I think that's what really helped me, just kind of believing in God and believing that there was something else that I needed to do in my life. And we made it, man. After a while, after some time, I ended up finding a job at a call center while I was still living in my car.
Shout out to the call centers.
Yeah,
I worked there for years. Yeah, and it was the dopest thing ever.
Yeah.
All I needed to do was sit there and talk to people. Okay,
that's it. Yeah, right. It's like our life, bro. Right. So I enjoyed it, man. And then from there, poco a poquito me fui levantando. And then from there, I mean, we started transitioning into just kind of figuring all this marketing stuff out. But yeah, it was an interesting journey, man. It was for sure. It was a tough one, but it was worth it.
Yeah. So you find a few people that are interested in investing in something that you have because they see a lot of potential in you, right?
Yeah.
So the quote unquote investors, you know, do you already create your company, Hispanos Marketing? And I know there's a different company that you have now that you have seen on the feed, something Latinos.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so when does the name start? Hispanos. Why did you want to go with Hispanos? Was it during that time with those investors, or was something different?
No, so that was an interesting situation. I'm telling you, it's like my life's a roller coaster, bro. because cuando me estaba reponiendo and everything was going a little bit better, I had found a job at that call center. Life was going a little bit better. I was living my best life, getting $15 an hour, bro. You know, not a lot, but to me, bro, living out of your car, now you're making 15. Hey, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
So, but yeah, I was me estaba reponiendo, and I was slowly working my way up. You know, the corporate ladder. I was like, maybe I could do more here at this call center. But then I met some people through some connections who were interested in my talents. Because considering that even though I was kind of going through these hard times, many years I had already been doing a little bit of digital marketing work. You know, like small logos here and there.
How did you get into that?
I learned on YouTube.
You learned it. Why do you want to learn on YouTube how to make a logo?
Yeah. So whenever I kind of went to live on my own at 18, I kind of had already came to that realization of like, maybe psychology is not going to be it for me, but I wanted to continue. But I was like, at least I need to have a backup plan, and maybe the degree is the backup plan. And I started learning on YouTube how to like design stuff. I just wanted to figure out how I could make money online. Nice. And I remember I was like, maybe I can start like a blog, an online blog or something. And then I realized you can't really make a lot of money off of it. I remember I created one, and I was trying to do these viral news. Bro, I made like $20 in like 3 months. I was like, all right, this ain't it.
$20? $20? Though?
Hey, but in 3 months, man.
3 months, a long time.
So, but then I realized, well, I created this website blog. Maybe I can offer this service to someone. Maybe I can make a website for them. So I did. I mean, slowly I started getting one customer here and there. And while I was doing like, you know, some of the work that I was doing.
How did you find these customers? So how did they find you?
Through connections like church and stuff. I mean, hey man, I've been doing websites for church. Like, a veces les avientas un rollo. Oh, te puedo ayudar y que esto que lo otro, you know. You're being truthful because you know you could help them, but sometimes you got to sell yourself. So for me, it was like, oh, te puedo ayudar con tu página web, you know.
You can't be like, yo te puedo hacer una.
Yeah, es que no sé.
Man, yo te la hago bien perrona con fireworks y toda la cosa.
Yeah, y que salga tu foto, te das un profesional y todo.
Yeah, todo.
So for me, that was kind of the best way of selling myself, and I was able to do it. But throughout the transition, I kind of knew a little bit of, I learned on YouTube, self-taught, how to design websites, logos, how to implement marketing strategies. I went to YouTube Academy.
Yeah. Did you...
Brief interruption to let you know, I know that you are enjoying the episode. If you are, hit the subscribe button, give us a comment, give us a like. Thank you very much for being here. And now, back to the episode.
Kind of sort of see yourself, the way that you talk to people, try to get clients the way that your dad used to do when he was out there hustling and talking to people?
Yeah, I think for me, that's what, anytime that I talked to anyone, it was almost like I was mirroring like my dad's hustle, you know? And even when I would talk to people, I would kind of, they would just remind me of my dad, like, you know, Spanish speaker out there trying to grind and hustle. So I'd be like, ¿Cómo está, oiga? No se preocupe, yo le ayudo con confianza. A veces le decía así, les hablas así normal y como que they're like, oh, this guy, you know, he's trying to help me, you know?
Take care of me. Yeah.
So for me, it was that. I was always like, okay, mirroring like what I grew up around. But yeah, so backtrack a little bit. So I ended up out of the call center. I ended up meeting, I was getting back on my feet, and I ended up meeting those people that were interested in my skills, that they kind of saw potential in me, and they were like, hey, you know what? They proposed, and actually it's because I ended up, while I was still working at the call center, I ended up going to they owned a restaurant. So I ended up going to the restaurant to sell myself and say, hey, you know what? If you ever need anything, call me. I gave them my business card. They called me and they're like, hey, by the way, we just started this restaurant, but we thought it would be a great idea for us to start an internal marketing company so we can do our own marketing for the restaurant and then take on external customers. Which I was like, hey, it's not a bad idea, right? As long as you're funding and you're paying for your own marketing, right? Because you can't funnel a free service, right? If you're starting a business, you have to pay the business to promote your own business. So they kind of positioned it to where it seemed all nice. They're like, yeah, you know, we're going to fund you for a whole year. We're going to pay your salary.
Any red flags at all during these conversations?
There was, man. But, you know, sometimes you're just blinded by the dollar signs. You're like, oh, I'm going to make it. And I think for me, it was almost like I saw my breakthrough. Like, oh, ya la hice. You know, they believe in me. I know my stuff. And they're funding everything. I'm not taking any losses. All I'm putting is my time. Yeah, of course, you know.
So they're not gonna compensate you at all.
So they were, yeah. So that was another thing too, that they were gonna match the same amount of money that I was making at the call center. So they were just, and I didn't ask for anything more, bro. I was like, you know, está bien, like pay me what I'm making to do what I love or what I've found a passion for now. Yeah, let's go for it. So we did it, and then they funded us to hire two more people, a designer and then a front desk person who was gonna help with sales and strategy. So we got an office space, you know, they got a furniture and everything. And yeah, man, the first month we were just kind of like trying to make sales, strategize and stuff. And then the next month comes around and they're just like, hey, unfortunately, we're gonna have to pull the plug on you, you know. And then we're just like, we don't understand why. But I guess from there, one of the biggest things is that they just didn't have a good management of their finances to the point where they're like, oh, by the way, we're gonna have to close the marketing agency down. You're fired. Fire them. Ahí nos vemos. So pretty much, man, I was left with, and at the time también había sacado unas credit cards to pay for, to get some like cameras and stuff. So me endeudé, bro. Me endeudé para sacar unas cameras and
to
then
help with the marketing and everything.
yeah, for the marketing. Yeah, because I think because they had already were funding, I was like, well, the least that I can do is pay for some cameras a crédito. Pero me dejaron con la deuda, bro. Me dejaron con la deuda de la credit card. They owed me the salary for that month, bro. Like it was like a couple grand on top of that, and then yeah, bro. And then back to square one.
Yeah.
Ahí vamos otra vez downhill.
Y luego,
Well,
you go back to finding a job. You make a
Yeah.
breakthrough. Say, "Sabes qué? I was doing it with them. I can do it myself."
Yeah.
Or what happens?
Yeah, I think I felt that I mean, stuff like that pisses you off. You know, you're just
course.
like, man, like it's crazy because you knew that there's potential. You knew that they just didn't believe in you. They just weren't patient. You know, so I was, man, maybe I could do this by myself. And I decided to do it. I ended up registering. I had a couple names before.
Okay,
that.
tell me.
We shall not speak of.
You're not going to
They're
talk
not
to them?
marketable.
But
Okay,
still,
okay.
you can
We'll
say what
you're
they
right.
were. They're not used to
So,
anymore.
so back in the days when I just didn't really have a lot of marketability, I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, let me come up with a creative name. So it's kind of embarrassing, but it was Turbo Biz. Was
Turbo Biz. Isn't that like a
Biz.
TurboTax?
Exactly.
You were biting off of it?
I was biting off of it. Don't sue me. It was never a business.
It never went.
It never took
Y
off.
luego, what other ones?
So Turbo Biz was one. I did one of them was a weird name. I bought the domain and because it was a short domain. It was Dixie-Fi, like Pixie, but it was Dixie-Fi. Has nothing to do with marketing, but I just wanted to play around with the name. I had CR Creative Studio at one point. I had WebXP at some point. But then I just none of these names were really kind of delivering what I wanted to do and who I wanted to help, which I think it's important.
Your market was Latinos,
Yeah.
Hispanic.
It was
people.
always that. It was always
So
that.
when does, of course, trial and error, many names, none of them sticking, nothing's what you're trying to do. Y luego, Hispanos marketing.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
So Hispanos Marketing Group is soon after, I think the last name that I had was CR Creative Studio. Soon after, I was like, well, you know what? I want to be able to deliver who I'm helping and why I'm doing this in the name. So I figured, why not name who I'm trying to help, the Hispanic community, you know? So I said, you know what? Hispanos Marketing Group, it could kind of have two meanings. Either we're a Hispanic marketing group or Hispanos Marketing Group, right? That's helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're focused on helping the Hispanic community, which is really both aspects of what I do.
Yeah.
So I ended up checking for availability, checking for the domain, checking everything. And yeah, I got the business registered. And from there, I've been operating as Hispanos Marketing Group. And I think it's a great representation of what I do and why I do it. And then from there surge lo que viene siendo el nombre Contratista Latino USA.
Contratistas
It's a tongue
Latinos
twister.
USA.
Contratista Latino USA, which
Yeah.
is it's more of like a sub name to Hispanos Marketing Group. The main reason was because I noticed that with Hispanos Marketing Group, I started getting a lot of more established American-based companies that were English-speaking wanting to tap into the Hispanic community.
Mm-hmm.
So they would reach out to me under Hispanos Marketing Group.
So
And,
not the people you're trying to help. Even though there's money there, but they're
yeah,
not the
yeah,
ones you
exactly,
wanna help.
exactly.
They're already
So
established.
I'll take it though. You know, anybody Hispanic Marketing Group, we can help you reach the Hispanic community. But yeah, so it kind of starts turning into well, now the other people are finding you because as we mentioned before when we started, they see the power within the Hispanic community, the consuming power. So they're like, hey, we need somebody that understands the Hispanic community, understands the culture. Who better than Hispanos Marketing Group? It's in their name. So that's kind of what I started noticing. But then I was like, you know what? But I want to help the Hispanic community. Like, I want to help people in Spanish, en español. Quiero tener conversaciones en español, ayudar a mi gente. So I was like, well, what if we do just kind of a subsection, a subname, which is Contratista Latino USA. And the focus of that has been to help Hispanic-owned contractors. Contractors.
Solamente, not any other type.
I help anyone.
You help anyone, but
Yeah.
your key market, who you want to help.
Yeah.
Why the contractors?
Yeah, I think there's it resonates with it just growing up, I think my dad was always a key. He was a key point in my life.
Mhm.
So kind of seeing all those elements of my dad and other people, it kind of has helped me to just kind of continue to want to help. My dad passed away this year in January, so
Very sorry.
yeah. So it's been more of an incentive for me to help, because it just kind of reminds me of the point where my dad was at and he needed that help. So the Hispanic contractor is typically your traditional old school Hispanic man, who maybe sometimes he doesn't understand the digital aspect of things. So you have to have more patience, and you have to just not necessarily sell to them, but try to educate them in a way where they feel en confianza and they're like, esta persona me quiere ayudar. So, and I started noticing that I started getting a lot of good traction with the Hispanic community, and especially contractors. Like, me tenían confianza. They're just like, sabes que no te entiendo lo que me estás diciendo, pero te tengo confianza porque me lo estás explicando y tienes esa transparencia. So I was like, well, why not just narrow down my audience? I don't have to be an octopus trying to get everyone. And I think sometimes that can be something that hinders you too, because when you try to spread yourself too wide, sometimes
Too thin, too.
too thin. Yeah, a veces hacemos mucho. Bueno, like I've said, a veces hago mucho, pero a la vez no hago nada.
Nada.
Porque ando tratando de que este cliente, que este para acá. But then when I was like, you know what? I just want to narrow down the people that I help. I know what works for them. I know what kind of presentation they need as far as construction companies, remodeling agencies. I know the type of websites that we can make. I know the type of logos that we can make. Why not just narrow it down? And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have customers across the U.S., man, across the United States. Contractors from mostly every state reach out through some ads and some promos that we have going on online. And it's just, I think it's not shocking, but I'm very grateful that people trust me. People trust me. And I think it has to do a little bit with what we talked about. Esa confianza de continue, for us to continue to just kind of be proud of our culture and not be afraid to speak the language. I think is what's helped me.
That's great, because I don't doubt that that community is underserved with those particular the presence online. Yeah, if anybody wants to work with them, especially somebody that's big companies, big projects,
extremely underserved.
They want to see somebody, like, they're not gonna go to wherever they're at and kind of talk to them. They have to be put in their faces. Look, mira lo que estoy haciendo. Look what we're doing.
Yeah. No, y lo que he visto también que funciona muy bien con los contratistas is that muchos de ellos son bien movidos. Like, they're motivated, bro, like contractors. And that's what I admire about just the Latino entrepreneur. We're grinding. And I noticed that a lot of these contractors le están echando ganas, bro. Están repartiendo tarjetas, están pidiendo referencias, they're going to networking events, están tomando clases de inglés. But sometimes the only thing that they're missing is that professional presentation, their online image, and what often happens, and I notice especially with Hispanic business owners in general, sometimes we cut corners because we don't understand the importance of different aspects of our online presence. So we end up hiring somebody to design business cards that they just use the template. Y nos pusieron ahí una casita, un martillito, cualquier cosita, and they just pretty much sold it to you, but they sold it to 10 other people. And what ends up happening is that you're not really setting yourself apart from the competition. And I run into this day in and day out. Que a veces me dicen, ya tengo un logo. Pues mándamelo. And it's the same logo that somebody else had.
Yeah. 20
exactly. Yeah.
And then this right here, like, this is all here. Everything's like right here. Like all your calling card of your website or everything's right here.
You're more easily accessible when you have that stuff. Yeah. And the Hispanic community, man, we've been underserved. And I think it's a little bit of everything. And it's really why I decided to really go all in, bro. Because if you think about it, a lot of the American-based agencies, right, that are primarily English-speaking, they're not investing funds and resources into the Hispanic community. If they are, they're just trying to sell you something. They're just trying to sell you a service. They're not trying to educate you.
Exactly. To sell you, and not really tell you the reason why you want this.
Exactly. And I know this because of all the contractors that I've talked to. I have like close to 2,000 contacts in my database where I've talked to the majority of these people.
Right.
And the thing that I always hear is like, es que nada más me quieren meter un servicio las otras agencias. No me lo explican bien o no son transparentes. A veces nada más quieren que les dé la tarjeta y me siguen cobrando. And those are the experiences that sometimes make it difficult, make it more challenging. But I think it makes it rewarding as well because you spend so much time educating to the point where now they trust you and they're like, do business with you long term.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I mean, it's great that people like you exist because they see that we we're being left behind.
Yeah.
We're not being having all those amazing, beautiful websites and apps and stuff like that instead of and missing out on some money. Where we do the work is already the work that they do is already great work. As it
Yeah.
is, right? You just need to let people know
Yeah.
that they're doing it.
You
They're
should need to
still doing
display it.
but
Yeah.
scale up more. They can do a whole lot more, bigger
Yeah.
contracts, bigger things if they just have the look.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They will live in a world that you have to have the look too.
Yeah.
Not only the work, but
Yeah.
the look, and you look savage, you look serious to be able
Yeah.
to people to take it. It makes sense,
Yeah.
but still, you have
It's
to
tough.
have that too.
And it's tough whenever you're not accustomed to it as a community, where it's just like it's not normal to you, porque casi la mayoría están acostumbrados a, aquí tengo fotos en mi teléfono, o aquí tengo mi tarjeta nada más. So it's tough whenever you're kind of helping them transition, because
Yeah.
sometimes they still don't see the value. But I think for the most part, I mean, the more time that we spend trying to educate and help people, I think the more that, we start helping our community in general.
Mhm.
And so that's why I do it. I mean, I think most of the time, bro, I spend most of the time just talking to people, honestly, than selling. And I think that's why a lot of people sometimes are just like, sí, te voy a recomendar a tal persona because you're the go-to guy.
Pero sí like what they saying and showing the picture, sí funciona up to a point. Pero si
Yeah.
quieres crecer más, si quieres
Yeah.
ser más grande, si quieres hacer más trabajos, más gente,
contratos
más
más grandes.
contratos
Yeah.
más grandes.
Es que se trata de la presentación profesional de tu negocio.
Yeah.
So, por ejemplo, ahorita, tú viniste bien presentable, bien guapo. Si estamos aquí, si es una entrevista, un trabajo, te contrato. Because you're presentable.
Right.
Y hay veces cuando nos presentamos a algún lugar, como decimos a veces todos despeinados, podón, así como vine yo, bro. Así que cuando nos presentamos así no presentables, a veces como que es la primera impresión que se lleva el cliente.
Yeah.
So, cuando hablamos de los contratistas y tú te presentas con tu tarjeta profesional, tu logotipo profesional, tu página web presentable, que en tus redes sociales tienes fotos profesionales, no borrosas con el dedo ahí o con el trabajador sin camisa,
Yeah,
que se vea todo bien. Con más razón los contratos más grandes, las compañías americanas van a decir, what, te voy a contratar o te voy a dar la oportunidad de que te sientes conmigo para que me expliques qué me puedes ofrecer y cómo me puedes ayudar.
Yeah.
Yo creo que para muchos eso es la importancia de tener algo presentable y profesional.
Yeah, absoluto. Es parte de lo que ahora tienes que hacer.
Ujú.
Pero una vez más, el trabajo ya lo sabes hacer. Ahora,
Sí.
¿qué puedes hacer para ti para poder crecer más grandes, contratos más grandes y poder hacer algo más establecido?
No, y si te contara las fotos que me mandan a veces
Right.
los contratistas, son trabajos que yo me quedo como, oye, you know your stuff, like,
Ujú.
trabajos bien bonitos, a veces están construyendo casas, están construyendo, remodelando las cosas y se ve presentable y profesional. Y como dices tú, a veces lo único que falta es nada más empaquetarlo, que sea bonito, aquí está.
Package it.
That's all they
so
need.
that
Just
people they can
package it
see
up. That's it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of contractors that are very talented, man.
Yeah, that's cool. ¿Y Latinos Marketing Group nunca sonó? It wasn't
Latinos Marketing Group, I played with it. I think there might be something out there, man.
Yeah.
No free promo here. No free promo. Hispanos Marketing Group, by the way.
No shout out. No shout out. Okay, we're running shortly on time, but thank you so much. You started launching, before I let you go, classes.
Yeah.
What exactly does class entail? Where can people go and watch the class? Where can attend? Is it an online class?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
somewhere that you can go to?
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is hopefully we want to make it a recurring thing every Saturday to do Spanish classes, English classes too, but Spanish classes more so for marketing. So any business owner, entrepreneur that wants to learn a little bit about the fundamentals of marketing, we're going to be getting those classes recurring on either Saturday, maybe one day out of the week. But just the best way to reach out is just either the website, hispanosmarketinggroup.com, or our social media, Hispanos Marketing, or reach out to me.
And what is the curriculum? What is it? Anybody? Y en español también.
Sí.
Alguien que quiera tomar tus clases de mercadeo, de todo lo que
Mercadotecnia.
es.
Sí, bueno, las clases son gratis,
Ajá.
principalmente, lo más importante. Que a veces dicen, pues, ¿cuánto cuesta? De gratis, no te
Es
preocupes, ¿no? Te vamos a ayudar. Pero en sí, el propósito de las clases y varios de los temas que se van a tocar, el propósito principal es que repasemos los fundamentos, ¿verdad? De qué es marketing, por qué lo necesitas, cómo te puedes vender utilizando tu presencia en línea. Y ya de ahí tratar de figurar cómo lo puedes implementar en tu negocio, que yo creo que es lo más importante, porque hay muchas maneras de cómo implementar tu marketing, o en inglés es marketing, pero la palabra es mercadotecnia, pero muchas personas, mercadotecnia, pero mucha
Ujú.
gente ya conoce el término marketing. Sí, por eso le puse Hispanos Marketing.
Spanglish.
Es un tema, es una palabra muy común ya. Pero si es el propósito realmente de las clases, clases gratis, Pero sí, nada más para informar, educar a las personas de qué es marketing o cómo lo puedes implementar en tu negocio.
Okay.
Entonces veremos que en las próximas semanas, este mes en particular, lancemos varias, pero los estaré subiendo en las redes sociales.
So, Saturdays usually, los sábados más o menos sometimes.
Algo con las 10. Sí, sí.
Como, ¿cuánto dura la clase? ¿1 hora, 2 horas, 3 horas?
Yo diría como 1 hora.
1 hora.
Aproximadamente 1 hora.
Y es
sí.
por Zoom.
A través de Zoom.
Por
Yeah.
Zoom. A través de Zoom puedes meterte ahí y escuchar o ver qué es lo que haces, how does it work,
Yeah.
qué es marketing,
Yeah.
mercadotecnia, qué
Yeah.
es para empezar.
Se le está olvidando el español.
Mercadotecnia.
But before we leave,
Uh-huh.
tell us a little about the braided Crispin.
So 3 years ago when I started the podcast, I thought it was a cool idea to have my hair braided all the time and just do interviews, talk about, just because I still have long hair, but I just, I don't know, I felt like that was the look for me to go and start off the podcast.
Yeah.
And I transitioned
I vote that we should bring it back.
We might bring it back one of these. But I started doing the podcast there just by myself, talking and just making stuff up, and then not making stuff up, but to my best ability to be able to kind of share with the world some of the things that maybe they don't understand about Latino culture.
No, for sure.
And I did my best effort to research and give history, give stories, tell why this song became this or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I was researching. I was like, you gave me a Wisin y Yandel vibes.
And I did some music. I got some music. You can check it out on Spotify.
Oh, bro, what was your rap name?
Well, back then it was just Crispin. I changed it.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, it was a different one. That guy doesn't exist.
What was
anymore.
it? Share.
There's no way. Actually, it was it only lasted for a very short time. It was stupid.
Nah,
only some people know is VP.
Yeah.
VP, Boss Poppy.
Oh wow, that's what it was. Boss, like Boss the water.
Yeah, kind of like that, spelled out with a V.
Boss Poppy.
Yeah, for like
so from now on, he's no longer Crispin. He's Boss Poppy.
For like a second, one time I went to this thing about it was personal growth. And I was like, man, why am I'm Crispin?
Yeah.
It's so, but podcast, like we were telling stories about people, como like una novela, like people tapping into.
Yeah.
Y como casi todos los actores, los protagonistas de una novela tienen 2 nombres.
Sí.
José Eduardo.
So yours was Boss Poppy.
No, Crispy Valentin.
Oh, Crispin Valentin. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
That's Crispin Valentin. That's my name. That's my real name too.
Chris or Crispin?
Crispin Valentin.
Crispin, okay.
Yeah. I already have a famous name. My name is already famous.
Yeah, it's unique.
I just gotta take it there too, or people recognize it.
Yeah.
But that's all. But that was awesome. My very short-lived rapper career. But recently, last year, I had some songs out. Just because I never had songs out, like technically distributed and stuff like that. So I did it.
Well, on Spotify?
I got them on Spotify.
What is the Spotify playlist?
Crispin Valentin también.
Oh, we're going to look it up.
You'll find some songs there that I did. I did a rapping song. I did a reggaeton type vibe song. And I did one that's just like it's about a real story that happened because I was military. So I had a particular night that happened, and the song's called 300 Shots. And it kind of, you listen to it, it sounds violent and everything. And that's what I wanted to give it, that feel of it.
Yeah.
But it's about a particular night that happened when I was deployed, and it talks about 300 shots. It was more than 300 shots.
Yeah.
But the story itself, you can kind of sort of tell, like, oh, dang. But it's like, it has a trap beat. It has freaking, it's rugged. It sounds crazy.
What,
but
is it called 300 Shots?
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up.
It's
that should
clean.
be the outro to this video.
It's a clean freaking song. No cursing.
Yeah.
But it's just like super like aggressive. Super.
Nice.
That's what I wanted. The other one is I'm a G.
Okay.
And I'm a G is like I'm a G. Come like it's a vibe type.
Yeah.
I'm a G. But it's more of a, that sounds more like I'm a G, and then the G is for great. Not like a G, I'm a gangster or anything. Like I'm a G and the G is for great.
Yeah.
And that's something I say
You're like
sometimes.
a good gangster.
Like a good gangster.
Yeah.
So I'm a G and the G is for great. Like I'm always great. Anybody asks me, how you doing? I'm great.
Yeah.
And it's just the thing that I did. I made a song out of it. And
I used to rap
you,
too.
Yeah? No, you did it. Did you
For real? For like
That's what's up.
like a little, but it was like, that was back in my Pleasant Grove days.
Yeah?
You know, it's because I have a cousin who was rapping when
Do I
growing
know
up.
your cousin? Maybe I know your cousin. I know quite
His
a
name
bit
is
of people.
Ozzy. I don't know if you know him. Ozzy.
That name sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, Ozzy from the Greedy Grove.
That name sounds familiar
Yeah.
to
So
me.
he would rap, and then I remember I had a ducktail and everything, bro.
I know you know for sure the homie. Se me fue el nombre. I interviewed him from Rowley. Microwave Rowley.
Yeah, I think I saw the interview.
Microwave Rowley's from the Grove.
Oh, what?
That homie goes.
Yeah.
Did
you grow up in Pleasant Grove?
No, but I used to go.
That's
why I know the vibes of the nervousness sometimes. Because people will say Oak Cliff, this and that. I'm like, Oak Cliff, I'm very comfortable. But when I go to the Grove, though, I'm just a little nervous
You're
sometimes.
just like,
Just a little bit nervous.
yeah, no.
But you're right though. Food,
Yeah.
culture, everything. Like one of the videos that I shot for the podcast song. So we have a song for the podcast.
Yeah.
And
Is that the intro one?
Yep.
That one's a good one.
Well, we have the whole video for
But
it.
is that you?
No, this is
Okay.
my homie Kilo. He's one of my guests. He's
nice.
from Chile. So we went to the Grove
Yeah.
at the Cinco de Mayo parade and got
Yeah.
a bunch of footage there.
Mhm.
We got a song, a whole video out.
Oh, wow.
So we got an actual video for the podcast too.
And that
Called
one's
The
already
Global
out?
Land Factor. It's been out for about a year.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's about to be 2,000 views. The homie gets
What?
down on the hook, the beat. I kind of sort of gave him the idea of like a little bit of executive producer. Like I
Yeah.
want to go with this. I want this type of sound.
Yeah.
This is like part of the hook. Kind of sort of wanted.
So
this
you were
part.
like executive producing.
Yeah, well, I did executive produce. I
Yeah.
put all the funding and everything for
Yeah.
the song itself and the video.
Are you taking it back too?
Was that?
Are you taking the rapping back too?
Well, after those songs, I have ideas to create stuff too. I haven't let it go all the way because it's just like, I don't know. It's a good creative way outlet, and I have a bunch of ideas. And even if it's not me, I like to, even if it's executive produce some tracks for people because I have a good concept of how to run a label properly and things like that.
Yeah.
So maybe in the near future, something else pops up. I definitely want to do a video.
Yeah.
So I'm eventually going to do a video, because you can't be a full-blown artist and everything unless you have a video out.
Yeah, you have to have
So once I have the right song, maybe
Con esta
even...
quality, bro, it'd
Yeah.
be...
So
Dale Crispin.
anyways, thanks so much for those questions, sir. You're a great interviewer
Yeah.
too, by the way. You haven't seen some of his episodes. He's out and about. He has a couple of videos out.
It's just a little bit of videos here and there.
Pero,
Podcast coming soon as well.
Yeah?
Hopefully a podcast coming
got
soon.
you.
I'm gonna interview you.
okay, I got something for you. Maybe we can work something out. Okay,
Awesome.
before I let you go, all your social media, where can people find you at?
Yeah, so all social media is the same. ITS, like it's Chris Rocha.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rocha. That's it. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything. It's Chris Rocha. Verified, blue check. Just saying. I mean, I'm not trying to flex, but I got a blue check. I pay for it, like $15 a month. But it's
I wasn't gonna burst your bubble, but like
I knew. I saw it in your eyes. You were like, really, bro? You're paying for it. Yeah.
Get a blue check
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
That sucks that they did that to you, bro.
But then at the same time, it gives you some credibility. You know?
For some people,
It makes you feel good.
you have $15.99 to spend on every month. But
Yeah.
it does. For some people, still it does.
It helps me a little bit with my confidence.
That's cool.
You know?
Hey,
No, I'm just
what-
kidding.
yeah.
It's Chris Rocha, and then Hispanos Marketing Group is the name of my business.
And the other one,
En Contratista Latino USA. If you wanna, if you have a tío or tía, we all have a tío or tía that is in some way or form involved in the contracting space. Send them my way. I can help them.
you heard your tío, your tía before say, mira, se ve bien bonito esto, mira, ¿cómo le puedo hacer esto?
Exactly.
Hey, he's the
Yeah.
guy que te
Vamos a ayudar.
ponga, pero bien bonito en la internet, en la interweb, para que
Exactamente.
te veas tu negocio y se vea como es un negocio de 5 estrellas, porque el trabajo ya es de 5 estrellas. Your work is
Exactamente.
already 5 stars. You just need to look it.
Yeah.
You look
yeah,
the
yeah,
part.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What projects, besides what you're doing right now, keep hustling, keep working it, keep growing it? What are your plans to scale up at a later time in the very near future?
Yeah. So with the marketing, it's a little bit challenging to scale at a rapid pace because there's only a handful of people that you can help with the limited staff that you have. So I want to figure out what's the best way that I could reach the most people, help the most people. So maybe streamlining a lot of the processes without losing the personal touch.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as marketing goes, I really want to just focus on helping the Hispanic community. I think there's a lot of potential behind Contratista Latino. I want to put together in the future expos. I want to put together webinars, seminars.
We talk about even doing maybe some events, some networking events.
Yeah,
in the near
networking
future.
events under Contratista Latino. Put a panel together, have somebody in finances, somebody in banking, somebody that speaks the language, understands the culture, and then just bring people together, man. Bring people together with the purpose of educating, providing resources free of charge. And the only thing, obviously, that I'd pay for would be like the service. But yeah, I want to scale it to the point where it's like Contratista Latino USA is like, I've heard of it. I want to get to that.
Because it makes your approach makes sense, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to buy something you really don't understand sometimes, especially knowing that you already have questions about people taking advantage or people not delivering on there, right?
Yeah.
So if you're educating, what exactly is this? Why do I need this? What, even the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Like, oh, ahora ya entiendo.
Yeah.
Lo que estoy viendo en la tele es exactamente lo que yo puedo hacer con mi negocio.
Yeah.
Put it right there. Pero ¿cómo le hago?
Yeah.
You know, ¿por
No.
qué los colores. ¿Por qué esto? ¿Por qué esto? You know?
Exactly, that's a good point. It's funny you bring
Why
that
the
up.
colors?
A veces el tipo de los colores, la tipografía, las imágenes, el diseño, el concepto es like, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué
Yeah.
lo tengo que hacer así? ¿Por qué no nada más puedo agarrar algo del internet? You know?
Porque de seguro es de alguien.
It's like-
Because probably somebody might sue
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Pero a veces son
exactly.
temas que son preguntas que nosotros quizás sabemos la respuesta, pero hay mucha gente que a veces no saben por qué, no saben y quieren saber. And I think we live in a time where with more reason we have to put a face behind what we do
Yeah.
to create that trust and confidence in people.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful approach for the education part to be able to get them to even understand to
Yeah.
know why they need the services,
Yeah.
not just because, you know.
Yeah. And it's
Not
all
just
our
try to sell.
it's our moms, it's our dads, it's our uncles. So it's like it's kind of even a greater feeling like es como si estás haciendo a tu tío, a tu mamá, a tu papá, you know. So I think it's you're winning on both ends.
But you will appreciate que a alguien le ayuda a tu tío
Yeah, for sure.
excelentemente,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Que le
You
ayuden
would
bien.
love que le
Exactly.
ayuden bien.
Sí.
Like, you don't want que después estás en la carne asada or just hanging out, like, tenía y se aprovechó de mí.
Exactly. That's
Like,
the worst
man.
feeling, huh? Cuando
Like,
sabes que
¿quién
se
es tío?
aprovechan.
Let me go find him.
Exactly.
¿Quién fue? You know
Let
what I
me
mean?
go
Instead
tell
of
him.
like, heck yeah.
Let me
hey,
let me take Voss Papi to go talk to him.
shoot. And then he like, heck yeah, man. Yeah, he helped you out. Oh, qué bien. Hey, mi
Yeah.
tía tiene ese negocio, necesita un poquito más. O sea,
Sí, sí,
está,
sí.
está bien, su tienda está bien chida, pero necesita un poquito más de ayuda. Hey, lo voy a mandar a él. You know what I mean?
O a veces tener esa confianza de, oye, pues yo conozco a alguien que me ayudó,
Mhm.
me hicieron las cosas como deben de ser y porque pues obviamente te aprecio, ahí te va este contacto.
Yeah. You see, if you're one of those people that taking advantage of my people, man, we're gonna find you eventually, and eventually you're gonna be washed up, or you're not gonna have a business because it's not cool to take advantage of people, especially they work so hard.
Exactly.
They put their life on the line to get to the States, right?
Yeah.
To be able to work for a brighter future, for you to be able to scam them, you're a piece of.
Yeah,
You
I'm
already
with
know.
you, man. I'm with you. And like I said, there's so many experiences that these conversations that I've had with people que a veces te agüita, bro. Te agüita bastante que a veces, como dices tú, tanto sacrificio que viene detrás, just even being here, bro.
Right.
Y luego tanto sacrificio de estar trabajando aquí o a veces siempre estar con esa expectativa de que, oye, well, maybe, you know, somebody's going to pull me over, like with that fear of just even being here. And then on top of that, you have people that screw you over. That's some of the worst type of people that can exist.
I can see you through a lot of these contractors and a lot of these entrepreneurs, the way that you were kind of sort of bamboozled a little bit of like telling you something and then all of a sudden take it from you.
Yeah, man. I know what it's like to just kind of sometimes you're sold a dream, and you're just like, well, dang, it didn't play out the way you were hoping for.
But now it played out for the best for you. You know?
For sure.
That's
I'm
awesome.
grateful.
Awesome. When you were coming on your way over here, like, man, I wish he asked me this particular question, or I wish he touches up on this. Is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you really wanted to touch upon?
No, I think for the most part, I think one of the things that I'll be honest. Whenever I was coming over here, I was like, I was nervous, but then I was like, but you know what? But what I wanted to really, the purpose I think for this interview for me, it wasn't for me to put myself higher than where I'm at, because I know every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new opportunity to get to where we want to be. So for me, it's just like I live in reality, you know, and I think a lot of people sometimes, not here, but when I've seen people like in podcasts or in videos, a veces como que se levantan el cuello muy alto, de que, oh, I made it, you know, and then, bro, we still trying to make it, you know. So I think for me, that importance of which I think we accomplished here, transmitting the rawness and the reality of like the journey. I think that's mainly what I was really, really hoping. Porque, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things out, you know, and I'm still trying to help people, and I'm still trying to grow my business. And
Right.
I go through the same struggles that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs probably don't say, you know. And you've gone to networking events. I've had experiences in some networking events years ago que a veces entras, bro, and you're just like, sientes como que hasta menos, because you're just like, dang, well, he looks all well put together, you know. So me, I didn't come to pretend that I'm put together, you know. I'm raw, I'm real, and we're still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to help. But I think your line of questioning was great, man. Yeah. Subscribe. His podcast is the best. Yeah.
The thing that the front that some people like, not to, please don't take it as a bad thing, you know, but a lot of the times we go into social events, putting up a front.
We do.
That we all got to figure out. But our ego is on our way, knowing that if we just talk to this one person, that can put us in a better position because of what he's saying or the connection we can make to better off. That's the reason why we go to some of these type of events, right? You know, to expand ourselves. Your network is your net worth, all that stuff that they're saying that there's a reason for it, right? So you just kind of sort of like gotta bring it down. I don't have it together.
We don't.
But I'm okay. But talk to me. What you got?
Yeah.
Maybe you and I
we can
work.
help each other too.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help each other out. Maybe you're the missing key that I was like lacking.
Yeah.
That's gonna open up
That
bigger things for me.
Yeah.
You
Many doors and opportunities have been opened through networking events, for sure. And then como dices tú, it's been that mindset of coming in as humbly as you can and saying, you know what, I don't have it figured out. I'm not here to put myself down either, but I'm here to just be honest and say, hey, you know what, if there's any type of partnership that can come out of this event, or is any type of assistance that could come out of any resource, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
So,
but then you know your worth as far as your skills and what you're able to deliver for people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, you don't, but it's a beautiful and powerful thing about not knowing, right? Because that opens up the possibility of getting to know and learning something new instead of thinking that you know everything.
Yeah.
Because that puts you in a very weird position thinking that you know everything.
Yeah. And we don't always know everything.
Yeah.
We won't always have it figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, any industry, everything is just evolving so quickly, especially with technology, that there's always going to be somebody that just knows a little bit more than us. And I think having that sense of like, you know, I don't have it figured out, I think it's going to help us be more open and receptive.
Absolutely. And any shout out, saludos.
Shout out, toda mi familia de Monterrey, Nuevo León, mi familia de Tampico, Tamaulipas. Shout out to y'all. We out here with Crispin. We made it. We made it to the podcast.
Thank you so much. When I wake up, I usually have a saying, something along those lines. I'm not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. That's not to scare me, to frighten me, terrorize me, bring me bad juju.
That's the first time I've heard it. It's really good.
It helps me realize that I'm not immortal, right? This is short-lived. It makes me hurry up and want to do things and keep busy with things, right? There's some power realizing your mortality, right? And it helps you hurry up and get to do stuff instead of just thinking about it. With that, I wish you a long, prosperous life. However, when everything's said and done, what do you want people to think and feel about your life?
That was a deep question, man.
You didn't get to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That's what happened to you.
That's crazy. I skipped through it. No, I think, that's a good question, man. I think, if anything, one of the things that I've realized is that we can do everything. We can do our best to be remembered, you know, as much as we can. If we can live our entire life trying to be remembered by something, but I think I've kind of came to the realization that at some point you're forgotten. That's reality, whether it's 1 generation, 2, 3 generations down.
Yep.
So I think living to create a lasting memory of who I was is not as impactful as actually living to create change in the people around me, impact them to the point where that memory is, the change is outlasting the memory of who I was. Whether that is, you know, helping people with, you know, generational wealth, whether it's helping people establish a generational company, right? Or anything that I could do that could last more than the memory of who Christian was, I think that'd be great. That'd be great. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be here, bro. It's not like I'm going to look back and be like, oh, se acordaron de mí. I mean, it'd be great if they make a statue of me, you know? So if I'm gone, please make a statue of me in my mom's front yard so she can see everything.
That was a great answer.
Yeah.
One of the dopest answers. It's really good. A lot of people don't realize that after a few generations,
you're gone.
That's it. Nobody remembers you.
No more Christian Rocha.
What is an important lesson that you learned doing marketing or establishing your company that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else out? What would that be?
Yeah. Definitely have consistency and determination. And because one of the things that I think I lacked a lot was that consistency of doing things to the point where even though I didn't see results, continue. Even though I just wasn't seeing the finances, continue, because that outlasts sometimes, and that shows more fruit at the end because you've been doing it for such a long time consistently rather than pockets of time. So I think that speaks more volume. So I tell myself, hey man, just keep going. You know, any little thing that you could do, just remain consistent, even if it's not marketing. Anything, you know, see if I'm, you know, cleaning shoes, if I'm doing something, like just do it. Hard work is going to pay off. I think that consistency.
Yeah. Sometimes it's so much easier to throw in the towel and quit, you know, but this is a motivational video Les Brown talks about when you're in your deathbed.
Oh, I love Les Brown.
All the dreams come and visit you with big old eyes that we came to you.
It's whenever you're at your deathbed and then the memories or the souls of the unfulfilled dreams are gonna come to you and say, "Why did you let me die?"
Yeah.
Hey man,
Wealthy
that's
space
good, yeah.
in the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's the cemetery.
Exactly.
For the same reason. So, give it a go.
Yeah.
And keep it going.
And don't be afraid to pivot either.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes you can get fixated in what could have happened as far as like what I could do in this industry, or sometimes you get so fixated on this dream and aspiration, and sometimes it's time to pivot.
Yeah.
And if what ends up happening is if you drag out a dream that you want to fulfill that maybe isn't working out, you're dragging it out, and you're just kind of like inevitably like going to fail anyways, because that it was time for you to pivot. It was time for you to adapt and evolve. So
not only that, do not get discouraged. I'm not telling you what to do, but do not get discouraged if other people do not see the dream that was given to you and the vision that was given to you to fulfill. Other people are not going to see it that way because they don't have the passion, the drive, the dream of the things that you already seen.
Yeah.
That unfortunately might not be with you, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it was given to you to fulfill, not for them.
Yeah.
If it so happen to be that you find people along the way that can help you out and grow, great.
Yeah.
If not, it was given to you to fulfill. You got to keep it going for you.
Yeah.
Even when it's almost feels like it's time for you to throw in the towel. Just keep it going.
keep pushing. Keep
it
pushing.
going.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
The first time I met you at the chamber, again, it was already vibes at the same time.
Yeah.
It was super cool to meet you. You go out there, you're super excited,
Talking to everybody. Hey, what's up, bro? Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Friendly, inviting, even the vibes itself. You were immediately, as soon as you saw my stuff, you took it to Gilbert. Like, mira, look at this.
Oh, that's right. I was like, bro, did you see this guy's quality? Gilberto was like, what? He didn't even know, right?
No, he didn't. Because I try to keep that separate from what I do regularly.
But not me. I say,
but here and there, I throw it in there because I do this.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about sharing those beautiful stories that we have, the resources of the things that you do that can help our community out.
Yeah.
I think it's super powerful. And even though I do, and I do it to the most when I have an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it was way after everybody's already almost gone.
But how did you feel that I was like so excited about it?
Freaking made me feel good. Why wouldn't it? Because we have been putting a lot of work. We have been super proud of what we've done so far. We're going to keep it rolling. But it just makes you feel good. Why? It's okay to acknowledge that it make you feel good because you're doing good work and you know, and so people can really recognize.
Yeah, and I think that's when you kind of see like, oh, what? Because sometimes you kind of go into the cycle of like, oh man, I've been putting in the work, but then it's like that one person that like I was genuinely excited, bro. Like you saw it, and I was like, yo, like look, I was just impressed by everything, bro. The colors, the quality, and the format. And I ran over to Gilberto like, hey, bro, look at this guy's videos. And he was excited too. He was like, oh, we're gonna do something.
Yeah, we're gonna do something with him too. We're not done yet. But we're absolutely gonna get something done. And it makes you super proud because you realize that, some of the things, even though the monetary part is not there, the impact that is more valuable. Sometimes you want to realize how much impact you are really doing in the community. And everybody tells me all the time, like, bro, you're really changing something, bro. You're really educating people. I mean, you're really making a difference in the community. You really, you're a representation of something that other people are not doing,
Yeah.
All the celebrity talk and everything, to each their own. Not my thing.
Yeah.
Just rather have an impact in the community that is long live after me, that even though I might be remember, those videos are going to be YouTube, be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I as soon as I saw it, you're super excited, your marketing, the company itself, and then shortly after I realized how much the stuff you've gone through as far as your story, I'll be like, man, that is freaking wild. And like I'm truly sorry for your loss, bro, but I don't doubt that your dad is up there looking down, realizing and very proud of the work that you've done, realizing that all those times that he got to spend with you, you're exercising in real life right now.
Yeah.
And we are 100% proud of you, man.
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
And without a doubt, Christian Rocha, you are a global Latin factor. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
This was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember to subscribe right now. I'm your host, Crispin Valentin. And remember, we are just like you. We are people. We are the spice in this melting pot that is the world. Till next time.
Thank you very much for checking out this episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and check out one of the other episodes that we have prepared for you. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Walks like a pedo, but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana and